how we can do, we can use number dot min value and then we can just check. So what I did, I used max here and then I'm consoling it out. So if you can see, this is giving this value. And why are we taking the minimum value? So if you will come to the question, you can see what they are saying. They are saying that your ranges can even have negative value. So it's for that reason, it is better if we are taking the minimum value here. After that, what do we have to do? We have to create two arrays, right? So let us say first we are creating array 1. Okay. Then we are creating array 2. Now we have to seed values to these two. So what we will be doing, we are going to run a loop and that loop is going to run from your L1 up to R2. And in this case, R2 is actually included. And then we will do I plus plus. So in this one, what we will be doing to this, we just have to push the value of I. So that is how you will be getting your array R1. Similarly, we are going to do for the array R2 as well. So that one is going to start from L2 up to R2, including the R2 value. I'll purposely take J here. And then I will just be pushing all the values to our R2. Now what I will do, I'll just console R1 and R2 so that you can see the values has been seeded here. Okay. So now let me run and show you the output. You can see it is giving me all the values which we have. Okay, sorry, here it should be R1 instead of R2. So if you will see now, this one is having values 1 to 4 and this one is having values from 2 to 9. Then what do we have to do next? We have to find out the maximum value, right? So how we can do? We can have a loop. Like I discussed, it is going to start from 0 till your R1 length. Okay. And then we are going to have another loop, which is going to be there from J up to your R2 length. All right. After this, what we will have to do, we have to update the value for max. And how we are going to do? We are going to use the inbuilt function for max. And here we are going to provide one parameter as max. Another one is going to be product of R1 and R2. Now, simply what we will be doing here, we will be just returning the max value. And here what we will be doing, instead of straight away calling it, like firstly I'll run and show you the output. So, okay, since we are not doing console, it is not printing anything. So I will be writing a console statement and I am using backticks for substituting the value. I will be writing maximum product in range 1, which is actually L1 and L2. Sorry, R1 is actually equal to this, like, sorry, this one also we'll have to put into this. Now if we will run, you can see it, like why are we using this? This is actually string interpolation, and through this you will actually see everything in one line. So if you will see, we have not used any plus or anything, just by one line we are going to have the output. So if we will run, you can see it has printed that in this range the product is going to be 36. All right, now let's come back here. If we will understand what is the time complexity for this code, that is going to be n square, right? Why? Because we are running two loops. One is going to be there for R1 and another one is going to be there for the R2. And what is the space complexity for this one? space complexity is going to be order of n. Why are we taking order of n? That is because if you will observe, we have created two arrays. Alright, so that is why we are going to get this space complexity. Now we will look into the approach 2 because this can be actually reduced. So in this one, what we will do, instead of creating arrays, what we will be doing, we are going to have a loop which is actually going to start from L1 to R1. And then we are going to have another loop. That one is going to start from L2 to R2. And earlier what we were doing product of the ranges. Here what we will be doing, we just be evaluating it through the product of I and j. So if you will observe, we have actually saved our space here, correct? So here we are going to provide our max plus we are going to provide our I into j. And simply you have to return it. So now if you will observe what is going to be the time complexity for this one, since we are again using two loops, so time complexity is going to be n square only. And if we'll have to talk about its space complexity, so what that is going to be, the space complexity in this case is going to be actually equal to order of 1. Why? Because we are using constant space in order to achieve it, right? Now I'll take you to Visual Studio Code and I will show you the working for the same. So here what we'll have to do, we'll have to get rid of all these things. This one we do not require. In this one, what we will be doing, actually I'll put it here. And this is the first loop which we will be using here. And this is the second loop which we will be using here. So if you will observe, whatever work we were doing here, now in the final one only we can do and we can get rid of all this array declaration and all. And here simply you can have product of I and j because now I and j's are going to have the value between this range only. Okay. Now if we will run, you can see the output. It is coming same only, correct? So we have considerably reduced the space. But then, is there any way of reducing it further? So let's come back here. So what is the approach 3 here? So if your range is something like this, so if you will observe, these are going to be there in one of the order. So let us say we are considering the ascending order. So in this one, what is the maximum value? That is going to be 4. That is the R1, right? In this one, what is the max value which we are going to have? That is going to be R2. So it can be 9. So instead of actually going into the loop, what we can do, we can simply do the product of these two, correct? So now let's come back. Here, instead of doing all these things, what we can do, we can just have A and B. So your A is actually going to be R1 and your B is actually going to be R2. In this, simply return product of A and B. Now if you will run, you can see the output like this. But whenever we have to write our code, we have to consider the other possibility as well. Since they are saying we are providing a range, but they are not saying that this range is going to be there in the ascending order only. What if we have one range like this, another as this? In such case, can we get the maximum sum out of these two values? No. So what we can do, we have to find out max from L1 and R1. And here we have to find out the max from L2 and R2. And whatever value we are going to get, that you put in B. So how we can do? We can do it in by comparing both of the values, right? So let's come back here. What we will be doing here, let's just have A like this, B like this. Then what we will be doing, we are going to have a loop and in the if condition, and in this one what we will be checking, if your L is greater than R1. In such a case, your A is going to be L1, correct? Otherwise, your A is going to be equal to R1, correct? Similarly, we have to check it against B as well. So for that, what we will do, we are going to check if your L2 is greater than R2. In such a case, B is going to have the value of L2. And if that is not true, B is going to have the value of R2. Now, if we will run, you can see the output. You can see it is giving 36. And here I will even change the ranges to 4 and 1. Then also you will see it is going to work in the same way. Correct? But if like this is one of the way of doing it. But if you remember, we have something like ternary operator. Through that, instead of writing it down in so many lines, what we can do, we can simply use ternary operator. So what ternary operator does, like here we want to provide a value to A, right? So we are just simply going to check here for this condition. If this condition is true, what do we want to provide it? L1, right? So here you provide the value which you want to provide in the if. If this condition is not true, what value do you want to provide? R2. So you can see we actually got rid of so much code. Now similarly here we are going to write it for B as well. So here you do it like this, and then we will say if it is true, from where do you have to take the value? From L2. Otherwise, from where do you have to take the value? From R2. Correct? Then you can just do the product. So you can see we have considerably reduced the lines as well. Through this as well, you are getting the output correct, right? Now, if you will observe, what is the time complexity for this one? In this case, since we are not involving any loops or anything, the space-time complexity is going to be order of 1. And are we using any arrays or anything? No. So the space complexity is also going to be constant. So it is going to be order of 1. So you can see just by doing some code changes, we were able to reduce the time and space complexity to constant time. I hope I was able to make this question simpler for you. Let us meet in the next question. Till then, happy learning. Bye bye.